Hey, it's Cathy Johnson, and we're here for Yes, I Can Living, the podcast for and about entrepreneurial women. We're talking business with a dash of life, love, health, wealth, and faith. Let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome to this week's edition of Yes, I Can Living. I'm your host, Cathy Johnson, and I'm super excited to have Corry Matthews with us today. Now, Corry and I go back a few years here. Probably like 4 or 5 years, I would think. Right? She is a fitness and nutrition expert. She has been my godsend when it comes to my health, even my daughter's health, but with hormones and getting things back on track. And we became fast friends, which was even better. She is also a sponsor of the Faith Fueled event coming up on February 27th of this year. And Corry, I'm super excited to have you on the podcast today. Welcome.
Thanks very much for having me.
Absolutely. So why don't you just share quickly a little bit more about your specifics? I hate just reading the bio thing. It just seems so impersonal. And if you want to share a little bit, I'll share a little bit about my story with you as well. But why don't you go ahead and start there?
I have a passion for helping women. I've been working with women for the past 25 years, everything to do with fitness, nutrition, and then when I hit 40, I added hormones into it because being a former bodybuilder who was always into fitness and nutrition and always in shape, and then I hit 40. It's actually the title of our new podcast, but it was literally What the 40? I don't know what happened to my body. And at that time, my business partner, Dr. Stacia, and she said, I think it's our hormones and we've got to focus on our hormones. And so we started doing a deep dive into our hormones and realized that, when your hormones change, everything that everything written in the book about fitness and nutrition is no longer the same. And so just trying to help women really understand nowadays that, when your hormones are off, and I love helping women over 40 because I'm over 40 and there's so many unique things on women after 40. So I like that. But everything that I teach works for women postpartum, and it works for women that are going through hormone issues in the 30s, and it works for women that are well beyond postmenopause. But it's just, I don't think women understand that hormones, I kind of like the song, Women, We Rule the World, Girls, We Rule the World. Like, it's really your hormones, ladies. It's your hormones that rule everything. And so helping women do that, and then also my own hormones and just this journey that I'm on myself with health, and just getting women to really stand up for themselves, take care of their health. And then I just can't stand it when I see women that I feel like women all have this unique gift. And so many women that I meet are hiding behind a health issue. It's usually weight loss. It's usually, well, if I was 20 pounds lighter, I would stand up in front of people and do X, Y, Z. And these are like amazing, capable women. And I'm like, you've got to stop doing that. Like, we've got to fix your health so that you can go out there and change the world. So you can't let something health-wise hold you back.
Yeah, amen to that. I mean, seriously, when you and I met, I was having some of my own health challenges, and I'm well into menopause now at age 60. But even going through the 50s and what that meant with my hormones and trying to do HRT or not, I needed to have a hip replacement. I mean, you knew all these things about me, and I was struggling desperately to lose weight, and nothing was working. And really, in coming in conjunction with Corry, I had done her detox. I had done the program with her, and that definitely helped. In all transparency, I did go on a GLP at the beginning of 2025. But even the beginning of that, where you think it's going to be a miracle drug, it's not. You still have to have the nutrition. And that's where Corry came in and helped me personally with that, because I was not getting enough protein. I wasn't doing the right things. I was losing muscle instead of the fat. And so, anyway, like I said, my godsend is just, and because of that, I've lost almost 50 pounds. So yes, I had a little help. I know, it's so exciting. And I feel great and gotten off of their medications, but it does keep women, I think, appearance, health, energy, all those things. It keeps us playing small. And the women who are listening to this podcast are done playing small. We all need to step up in big, bold ways. And so anyway, that's my personal shout out and experience with Corry. So take us back for a moment to this defining season in your journey, and really what shaped you as a leader to really step into this. And I tell you, this last year, even watching you just explode in growth and connection and all that, what would be, or is there a defining moment for you in why you really stepped up into this?
Well, I would say the last year, it's really been I kind of, a year ago, last summer, I hit menopause. Like I was officially menopause. So I've been now almost a year and a half in menopause. And I had a whole bunch of injuries that came back from when I was competing in my fitness days. And it started with going to the doctor because I was like, I've got hip pain and I've got back pain and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And, them going, well, your hips are fine. And yeah, you've got a herniated disc. And I kept saying to everybody, is this because I'm in menopause? Is this because my estrogen and progesterone have just completely plummeted? And everybody said, no, like this isn't it. And so I was like, I still think you're all wrong. Like, I think you're wrong. And then I went and I had to push to get a bone density scan because everybody was like, well, you're not old enough. Like, you're 47. You don't need a bone density scan. And I said, but my mom has osteoporosis. Like, I probably should get a bone scan. And I'm going to share stuff that Cathy doesn't even know that I was going to tell her tomorrow. But so so they came back, and so sure enough, I have osteoporosis in my spine, and I have osteopenia in my hip. And they said, I remember I didn't start taking any HRT until I hit menopause because I had so many women in perimenopause, anything with HRT, they have horrible side effects from it, and they can't handle it. And I tell women that's a lot because your own hormones are firing, and so then you put in this extenuating hormone, and sometimes it doesn't work. So when I got post-menopause and they're like, okay, you probably should use hormones. And I'm like, I don't know about it. But I went to the doctor and my cholesterol spiked. And I was like, I've always had normal cholesterol. And they're like, you really should watch your nutrition. I'm like, I went home and told my husband that and he laughed. He goes, I don't think your nutrition could be any more perfect. And I said, so there's all these things that were stacking up on me. And I'm just like, women need to fight for this stuff. Like, we need to be out there. And I'm finally glad to see like perimenopause and menopause and women are talking about it. But I kept saying, are you sure this isn't because of my hormones? Well, I've been sharing all this stuff because I don't want women to live with it. And I can't tell you how many women I sit down and like we look at all their stuff and they've talked to their doctor and I'm like, you need to go back and ask this and you need to go back and ask this question because they're not giving you the whole story. And so it's been deciphering their results. And so this Christmas, I was still like, the back pain is still there. It's always there. Like, and it's not so much, and I kept saying, it feels like somebody like took a bat to my back and like broke my back or something. I'm like, it hurts so bad. And so I just got up every morning, and I know, Cathy, you understand this. I dealt with chronic hip pain and I was like, I don't understand. And so I've done like 2 PRPs and cortisone injections and like all this stuff. And, they said, if this doesn't all work, just come back. And so I went and I got an appointment on Christmas Eve and I went back and, I said, I'm still not fine. I said, we still need to fix this. I said, at 47, I shouldn't be in this much hip pain. And so they said, okay, let's start over on square one. And so they started over and they said, you know what, we're going to send you to a specialist because they had saying it's like radiating nerve pain, right? Mm-hmm. So remember, this has been since September of 2024. I've been trying to advocate for health and everything. And so they sent me to this nerve specialist. By the way, if you ever have to have a nerve test done of your lower body, it hurts like you would not believe. Like they put electrodes and they shoot like electricity down your legs. But so I said, I was talking to this guy and he was doing all of it. And he said, your nerves are fine. He said, when's the last time you had an x-ray done? And I said, well, like when I came in back in, I don't know, September or whatever. And he's like, and how old are your MRIs? And I said, well, like a year and a half old. He's like, I really think you do. He's like, I don't mean to alarm you. He's like, but I think you have a fracture in your back. I was like, oh, okay. Long story short, I found out last Thursday, yes, indeed. One of my vertebrae is broken. And so it's like right at the back where, the little spine that comes out of the vertebrae. And I'm like, all my background, they put the x-ray up on the screen and then they walk out. I'm like, that was probably the worst thing to do because I know. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, I'm pretty sure those 2 bones are supposed to, and sure enough. So it's like you have the vertebrae and you have the little spinous process that you can feel. And like right here is where all those nerve roots come out. So this spinous process is not attached to my vertebrae. It's completely fractured. And so now it's like, and the doctor even said, I'm so sorry. I don't know how, like, we didn't identify this. And she pulled up the original x-ray and she's like, you can kind of see it there. She's like, but so needless to say, another MRI. But so this is what I tell women. If you have issues, and it's so, because, you get told everything's normal, and I'm told that back pain is normal, and women are told that hormones are normal. But if you have this feeling that it isn't, like, keep doing stuff to figure it out, to fight for your health. Because I don't want to just get to 90. I want to get to 90 and be thriving when I'm 90. So when I'm lifting weights these days, it's not to, like, get lean and shredded anymore. It's I want to have a vibrant life and I want to live every moment to the fullest and preferably without pain.
Right. Yeah. Totally. Absolutely. I mean, with the hip thing that I went through, the whole idea here too about advocating for yourself when it comes to your health, right? People had given me the same thing. Oh, you can't possibly be your hip at, 55 years old, 56. I mean, yes, I ended up having a hip replacement at 58, which is not normal, but yeah, we gotta advocate for ourselves, lady. Advocate for ourselves.
Yep.
Okay, so I know you're a faith-led woman. I know that you're sponsoring the Faith Fueled Conference. So tell me about when the moment that faith stopped being personal and really influenced you more on maybe how you run your business, how you run your life in general. Do you incorporate that into your life?
I don't know necessarily that I incorporate it so much in what I do with my business. But it's also, I think it's a lot of the principles of how I run my life and how I want to lead my life and how I treat others. I think it's always been, and it's interesting because Stacia, many, many years ago, we were dealing with all this stuff and she was like, just treat everybody with kindness, just be kind, and there's days that I think about that. But, there are days when I know with everything that I'm going on, I mean, especially the day I tried to get out of bed and I couldn't move and I was, just felt crippled from pain. And I said, God, I can't do this. I can't do this. I don't know, I have to move. This isn't me. And then I just thought to myself, what do I need to share with other women? What do I need to teach other women? What do I need to do? And so I think it's one of those things in my life that there's always a reason that I go through certain things and it's to show those things. So I think so many times, when you feel broken, you feel let down by your faith, or you feel God, why is this happening to me? And I use it as more, I'm meant to help other people. I was called to be an empathetic woman, to help women get to where they need to be, and I think it's tricky in, today's climate and everything with faith and stuff like that. But I want to generally treat people God treats us, and just with love and respect and kindness. And it makes things go so far. And I think a lot of times when people are mean to me or whatever, I think there's something in my, just expect the best of people and just know that everybody's got something going on. So if I can't see it, sometimes I'll be like, okay, God, just help me understand. Help me see the goodness in this situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. That, it really is all about that belief or that mindset shift that can change the way that we just live and work and, are in relationships, all those things. And being somebody who is forward facing in, for women you do a lot on social media, you're speaking, you're doing your own events and that kind of stuff. And I think just that idea of taking kindness into everything you're doing, reflecting that out, can be huge. That just can be so impactful for so many women, especially when you're facing health challenges, right? You're already feeling down and bad about yourself. So if you've got somebody who can come alongside as a coach, as the expert, who can really lift you up and champion you, I think that makes a huge difference. So something behind the scenes that maybe people don't see, and as far as your success, has there been a struggle? Has there been a sacrifice? Has there been a growth stretch that was painful? Because, we all look and we see the social media and it looks so easy, right? And look at all she's doing. But, there always is something that we're learning behind the scenes that we may not be putting out there. Is there something for you that comes to mind when I ask that?
I think it's more, I would say for anyone listening to this too, is that I have my own struggles with nutrition and fitness and that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of times people don't see that because, I am the expert and I am giving the advice, but it doesn't mean that behind everything it's perfect. And I don't have those days where I'm just the sugar is consuming me and I want to eat all the donuts and all the pizza and all the foods that I know the next day are going to, I'm going to be inflamed or whatever. And I think, sometimes that makes me an even better coach is because I understand when people are coming from, but there are those days that I have that. But, and with all that too, I think there's this culture of being in health and wellness, that if you don't have 1 million followers and if you don't have that aspect, then, you know, what you're doing doesn't really matter and people aren't going to find you. So of course, even though I'm out there and I'm talking to people and I'm saying things, do I still feel like I'm not good enough when I see some of the other accounts and some of the other things that people are doing? And yeah, but I just try and remind myself, and, you know, every now and then I say, that's okay, because the people that need me are going to find me for me. So when I'm in that good mood, and then when I'm not in that good mood, I reach out to Cathy or other friends of mine and say like, oh my gosh, I just don't feel like I'm good enough. Why are people going to ever listen to me? So I think that's, you know, just because we're out there and we're doing it, it just means something inside of us has said, get out there and do it. And ultimately, you know, when I have my own nutrition or exercise struggles or whatever, I remind myself that's my health issue that's going on. And I keep telling women, don't let that be why you don't talk and you don't talk to people. So I keep telling myself, it's one of the things a life coach I had years ago, right after I had my daughter, said to me. Every time she would flip it around when I was having some sort of issue or whatever, she'd go, what would you tell your clients? And I was like, God, I hate that question. But I'm like, you're so right. So I try and think to myself now, okay, if you were a client, what would you tell your client right now? And it's, you know, with fitness and nutrition, it's interesting because you become life coach and therapist and you hear all the things, because if somebody has a horrible day and gets fired, or they break up with a boyfriend, or they're getting a divorce or whatever, it inadvertently, you know, affects their nutrition and their fitness and what they're doing for their health. So you hear all of it.
Right. Absolutely. 100%. You know, it's so funny. I'm laughing because Mark has done that to me, right? I'll be complaining or social media, right? And it's like, look what she's doing. What's that, right? And what would you tell your client? And I swear, I just want to turn around and deck him. But I know it's all meant in love too. And when I take a breath, you know, and take a pause and look back. But I think you're absolutely right. You know, I mean, I think so many of us, I mean, we do have the same struggles. There's not a perfect life behind the social media posts, even though it may look like it, or we get in that headspace and we think it is. But to have those resources, to be able to reach out to others, to be in a community, you know, whether it's the table community or another community you're already in, right? It's having those resources, having those women, having others, other entrepreneurs, other trusted friends, trusted partners that you can go to and really have that conversation with. I think that's a big piece, really, truly. So let me ask you this. For the woman listening who feels stuck or tired or unsure, what is the next step that you would encourage them to take? What would you say to them right now? I mean, particularly here, you know, while this podcast will be out for forever, you know, we're coming out here at the beginning of the year and everybody's on that health, you know, the health journey for 2026. But what would you suggest to them?
I think it is, if you ask yourself, every single person, you know exactly what you need to do. You know exactly what you need to do, whether it's you need to drink more water, get walking, exercise, reduce your sugar, whatever that is, you know what that is. Like, all women know what that is. And they're just like, innately, they're telling themselves, I need to do this. But what I find at the beginning of the year is people are like, I'm going to do all 20 of them. And so I always tell people, the most important thing I want you to do is just choose one. Choose one thing that you can make a change with, and that thing can become a habit in your life. So if it is, you know, and people think, oh, I've got to walk. I need to walk. And social media tells me I need to do 10,000 steps. Well, if you're getting 1,000 steps an entire day, there's no way you're going to get 10,000 steps. Or if you do 10,000 steps, the next day you're not going to be able to move. So if we just look at walking for a second, I would say, where can you add in, I like to call them exercise snacks. So where could you add in 10 minutes of walking? Could you just get up in the morning and go for a 10-minute walk? That means just walk down your block and walk back into your house. And if you start to do that every single day and it becomes a habit, what I find most women will be like, okay, can I walk more now? Because I liked walking 10 minutes every day and that's great. But so that's what it is. It isn't, I need to eat 1,000 bags of kale. I need 10,000 steps. I need to eat 2 gallons of water. I need to have no sugar and no coffee. It's just pick one thing in the back of your mind that is probably like the key. And I will tell all women that it's usually the one that's going to move the needle the most is either drinking more water, getting a little bit more sleep, or taking a few more steps. Those ones are the biggest ones that are going to make a huge difference in terms of everything.
Yeah. Yeah. important pieces there, and when you were saying that, it reminded me of a quote that my coach had asked me, what are you pretending not to know? Right. Well, that I just need to take a few more steps, that sitting on the couch all day, or the excuse that, I've got so much work to do and sitting at my computer, or whatever it may be. Right. I think it's important for us to look at those pieces. So those are nice, easy, just one. I love the idea of just one, because I think we look at it and frankly, even I've done Corry's even 30-day detox. And even in that, you have us remove things for a few days. It's not like, just cut it all out all at once, right? It's step by step, a few things, one thing each day. Well, not even each day, every few days, to do that. So I think it's, and don't get so down on yourself too when it doesn't necessarily, when we only take the 500 steps, or, well, no, that would not be good. But you know what I'm saying. It's like trying. The effort definitely makes the impact. So I am sure there's women listening to this who are like, yes, that is me. I am struggling with my health, my weight, the pain, sleep, all those things. And how would they get in touch with you? What's the best way to connect with you?
This is a running joke I always say, as long as you can spell my name right, you can find me. But I think the easiest thing is just finding me on social. All of my social is so tied into all my websites. So it's Corry Matthews. So I say it's Corry, spelled like sorry, but with a C, and then Matthews has 2 T's. But I mean, if my name stays on there, you'll have my name right there. So it's just on either Facebook or Instagram, you can find me. I give lots and lots of tips for women. So I always tell people, sometimes people don't want to dive in. Go stalk my account, stalk it, go watch the reels, look at the information that I'm giving. It's real life advice. This year in 2026, one of the things that I'm doing is I'm really bringing people into my kitchen, because I find on social media, so many of the videos are so perfect. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to show my real food and just show it to people, because people are like, how do you do it every single day? And I'm like, it's messy, it's imperfect, it's not pretty. But, if you look at my social media, you'll see me and you'll get to know me more. There's also in there, if you click on the first link in my bio, there's something that shares, if you're thinking maybe it is your hormones, or you're trying to figure out what's going on, there's a free quiz right in there about your hormones. So sometimes people get that, and then that'll give you an idea of some of the symptoms that you're feeling. Well, maybe you should cut back on sugar, or maybe it's your thyroid that is acting up. So there's a lot of different things. And especially if you've been to your doctor and they're saying that everything is normal, but you don't feel normal, I say it's usually 95% of the chance it's something is off with your hormones. And I like hormones to feel optimized, not normal. So that's kind of the missing importance. And just because, this is the thing people keep telling me, oh, well, I'm in menopause, I don't have any hormones. No, that's not true. You have all the other hormones. So people think that once you hit menopause, all your hormones are gone, but it's not true. So getting all of your hormones optimized just really makes such a huge difference. And it can be done a lot of times with just food and just changes in things. It doesn't have to be, oh, now I need to go see, a functional medicine doctor and have $2,500 of supplements and pellets or whatever every day.
Right. It can be so simple. It can certainly be complicated, but can be so simple. And I just wanted to give a shout out again. Corry's got a cookbook on Amazon. She's got an amazing podcast. She referred to What the 40, which is great to listen to. And she really, I can't say this enough, really helped me to get my hormones back in check, to figure out where the pain and the issues were, to be able to, drop the weight and basically take my life back. And when you've got somebody championing you like that in your corner, it can make all the difference. So whether it's Corry or somebody you're already working with, take care of you, ladies, because, if your body's not working, if you're not feeling good, it's going to affect all areas of your life. So anyway, Corry, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Appreciate your sponsorship of the Faith Fueled event. Speaking of which, for those of you who are listening, it is coming up on Friday, February 27th of 2026. It's happening in Anaheim, California. We have women from all over Southern California coming, and we would love to have you there. If you have not connected with me, please do so at yesicanliving.com or any of the various social media channels. We'll be back next week with another episode of Yes, I Can Living. Until then, live your best life, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for listening to Yes, I Can Living. If today's episode spoke to you, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. And if you're craving deeper connection and real conversation, I'd love to invite you to the table, our community of faith-fueled women building businesses and lives they love. Go to yesicanliving.com and click on The Table. See you there.